Like you have seen players in our league try to like toughen up Caitlin. We call her Cece. Cece. For even when I wasn't on her team, like I know the talks that Phoenix had in the locker room of like, no, we're gonna prove her, we're gonna show her what the W really is. You know what I mean? And like I get it to a certain extent, and like every rookie coming into the league, that's how you're gonna treat them. But
Right.
there's just more for her. So it's her second year. And like now being on her team and like seeing it, I'm like, what are people doing? Like, actually, it's just too much. Too much.
So picture this. You're scrolling through your feed, half distracted, half looking for something worth stopping for, and suddenly you hit play on a clip. It's Sophie Cunningham, sitting in what looks like a pretty ordinary podcast setup. No press conference podium, no staged ESPN backdrop, just her and a co-host. She's mid-story, telling something about when a certain player came back to face her old team. You can almost feel it's about to turn into one of those moments you're not supposed to hear, the kind of thing that doesn't survive corporate PR filters. Then she just says it, flat out. No hedging, no allegedly, no sources close to the situation nonsense.
And it literally like pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What?
Sabrina? No.
No, there's really good, well-known people in our league. I'm not discrediting them. Like, we have a lot of badasses in our league.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah to that. I'm all for that. But when people try to argue that she's not the face of our league,
Yeah.
or if our league would be where we're at without her, you're dumb as shit.
Yeah.
You're literally dumb as fuck.
And that's when you realize you're watching the exact moment she cracked open an entire media system that's been running the WNBA's narratives for decades. Here's the thing most people believe. If you want to get your side of the story out in professional sports, you go through the machine. You wait for the right reporter to give you a sympathetic angle. You play nice in interviews, you keep the messy details in-house, and you trust that if something really matters, the gatekeepers will get it right. That's the expectation. And for years, it's been the unspoken rule. But Sophie? She just tossed that rule book in the trash and lit a match. Her reality was different. She didn't go through a journalist, didn't call a PR department, didn't float a leak to some insider with a blue check. She told it herself, straight into a mic, and put it out for the world to hear. Within hours, that clip was everywhere, not because it had been neatly packaged by a network with a graphics team, but because it was raw, unfiltered, and direct from the person who lived it. Fans pounced on it. Journalists scrambled to catch up. And the people who'd been deciding which stories saw daylight? They suddenly realized they weren't the only ones with the keys anymore. For decades, the WNBA's media structure ran like a monarchy where the players weren't the royalty. A handful of outlets, ESPN, The Athletic, the usual suspects, decided which narratives were worth telling, when they'd drop, and how they'd be spun. And if you were a player, your best bet was to stay in their good graces. You gave diplomatic answers, avoided naming names, and kept anything remotely explosive locked in the locker room. In exchange, they gave you access to the audience you couldn't reach on your own. That scarcity was the foundation of their power. They had the megaphone, you had to borrow it, until Sophie just went around them and build up, no leaks. Just an episode of her Show Me Something podcast, casual as you like, when the topic turns to a teammate's departure, a name everyone in the league knows, a move that seemed strange from the outside. She says it plainly. The player wasn't happy, didn't give a proper goodbye, not even a text to the team. It's not rumor. It's not guesswork. It's a first-hand account, told without permission and without a PR polish. That's why it detonated. Traditional media would have sanded the edges, buried it under according to sources, and may have been tensions. But Sophie let it land like a clean right hook. No qualifiers, no euphemisms. And the fans instantly got the weight of it. This wasn't petty gossip. It was a crack in the wall between them and the reality of team culture. The kind of access you're never supposed to have. And the timing? Perfect. Because Sophie isn't just a role player with a couple thousand followers hoping to be heard. She's got over 1.6 million on TikTok, another 1.1 million on Instagram, more than most journalists covering the league, and even more than some national sports commentators. And that following? It's direct. No editors tweaking her message, no corporate algorithm deciding if you see it. She's been cultivating it with a mix of on-court fire, behind-the-scenes moments, and opinions that don't sound like they were workshopped by a PR team. Think about when she defended Caitlin Clark. Most players would have gone with something diplomatic. She's a great talent. People should appreciate her impact. Sophie? She called the critics dumbass twice on record. No filters, no half measures. And fans ate it up because it's exactly what they were thinking. That's the secret. She says the quiet part out loud. Every time she posts, she bypasses the entire WNBA media apparatus. And because her reach is massive, her version of events doesn't just go to her followers. It gets clipped, reposted, debated, amplified until it's in every corner of sports discourse. That's not just clout, it's leverage. It's why people in the old system are starting to sweat. And here's where it stops looking like an accident and starts looking like a calculated play. Sophie's not doing this in a vacuum. Her podcast is backed by The Volume, Colin Cowherd's growing sports media network. This isn't a boutique WNBA-only operation. This is a machine built to deliver sports content across huge audiences, from basketball to football and beyond. They saw the gap. While the traditional outlets were treating women's basketball like a seasonal obligation, The Volume recognized the business potential of unfiltered player voices. They weren't trying to do charity or check diversity boxes. They were making a bet that authenticity would win. And they were right. Plug Sophie into their network and suddenly her clips are hitting people who've never watched a WNBA game. She's not just part of the conversation, she's shaping it. And for traditional media, she's the nightmare scenario. A player who doesn't need them can create headlines herself and make money doing it. That's the part the league is starting to notice. Because for years, there's been this unwritten code. Don't publicly criticize veterans. Don't show locker room friction. Don't give the fans ammo for negativity. Sophie's whole style blows that to pieces. She says what happened, leaves it out there, and lets people decide how to react. And the audience? They're rewarding her for it. Engagement spikes when the answers are straight instead of safe. That flips the incentives. Now other players are thinking, why am I still playing by the old rules? Some are already posting more candid takes, showing more behind-the-scenes moments, softening the corporate tone in interviews. Others are quietly exploring their own podcast or YouTube deals. And every time they see Sophie's engagement numbers, the temptation grows. That's what cultural shifts look like. One person proves the rules aren't laws, and the rest follow. And behind the scenes, traditional media is panicking. They're suddenly trying to lock players into exclusive deals, offering more money than before just to keep them in their ecosystem. Because if enough players go direct, the gatekeeping dies. And with it goes the leverage that's kept them in business for decades. Some outlets are even hoping the league will tighten media clauses or start flooding the zone with official coverage to drown out independent voices. But that's risky. Crack down too hard, and it looks like you're silencing players, which only makes the independent voices more popular. And here's the kicker. This model works anywhere. NBA, NFL, global soccer. It's the same formula. Credibility plus direct access plus willingness to say the real thing. Once you have that, you don't need the middleman. And you don't have to be a superstar. Sophie isn't leading the league in scoring. She's not on the biggest stage every night. But she's pulling engagement numbers that rival the top names. The power shifted from stats to personality and authenticity. That's the real revolution. Athletes as their own media companies. Not sources for someone else's story, but the storytellers, the producers, the distributors. They own the pipeline and with it the audience relationship. And that relationship is gold. It's loyalty, and loyalty moves merch, sells tickets, builds lasting influence. It's not a question of if more players will follow Sophie's path, it's how fast. Within months, you'll see more WNBA players launching podcasts, YouTube shows, live streams. The old play-it-safe approach is already starting to fade into the background. The audience has tasted something better. 6 months ago, the system was running the same way it had for decades. A few gatekeepers told the stories. Players played along. Now, the script's been shredded. Sophie Cunningham proved that one player with a mic, a camera, and the nerve to speak plainly can move the conversation faster than the entire traditional media machine. Some players will follow. Others will cling to the old way. But the revolution's already here. And it's not stopping at basketball. The question now isn't whether athletes will bypass the gatekeepers. It's which one's going to be the next to blow the doors off entirely. I'm curious. Who do you think it'll be? Which WNBA player is about to launch the next show that flips the narrative on its head? Drop your guess, because the days of needing permission to speak are done. The gatekeepers had their run. Now the players are running their own game, and they're not giving the ball back.